I slept with my dog every night until the doctors told me the truth. Julia hadn't planned to bring a dog home that day. She had just gone to have a look, as people often say. But when she looked into the calm, dark eyes of the young German shepherd lying silently at the edge of his kennel, barely breathing, it felt as if something inside her had answered. The name on the sign? Bronx. He was the last dog left in a shelter that would close just a few days later. His gaze made no sound, but it spoke a clear sentence. Take me with you. Once home, Bronx carefully explored the apartment. Every room, every corner. He wasn't afraid, just quiet, attentive. Julia quickly sensed this wasn't just a pet. Bronx seemed to study her steps, her moods, even her breathing. He ate calmly, responded to commands, and each evening he would settle on his blanket at the foot of her bed. But every night, almost silently, he crept a little closer. It started with a paw print on the bedspread, then the weight against her back. Within a few days, Bronx was lying right beside her every night, sometimes with his head resting on her belly, sometimes on her leg. Julia smiled at it. It was sweet, almost human. She loved the warmth, the closeness, the feeling of not being alone, that something wasn't quite right. She would only realize later. Bronx quickly became the center of Julia's daily life. He was gentle, perceptive, responding to every gesture, every word. It was almost as if he knew what she needed before she knew it herself. He never left her side, not while she brushed her teeth, not while she cooked, not even when she just stepped into the hallway for a moment. And at night, he no longer just lay next to her. He sought out her body, rested his head on her stomach, pressed his chest against her back like a second heartbeat. At first, she found it comforting, a feeling of safety like the heavy blankets from her childhood. But soon the first symptoms appeared. Julia woke up exhausted, as if she hadn't slept at all. Her appetite diminished. There was a constant turmoil in her stomach. The pain crept in, like waves, sometimes stronger, sometimes weaker. She blamed it on stress, maybe stomach flu, maybe the weather. She Googled symptoms, brushed them off, told herself she was just a little run down. But the truth was, her body was beginning to retreat. As she grew weaker, Bronx grew more intense. He didn't just lie on her. He pressed down on her, not heavily, but persistently. Like a weight you eventually stop noticing, until one day you realize you can't get up anymore. His eyes stayed open at night. His closeness resisted any movement. For the first time, Julia clearly felt it. His presence was no longer good for her. Julia was finding it harder and harder to focus on simple conversations. Her gaze grew glassy, her thoughts sluggish. She forgot things, mixed up times, stared for minutes at blank pages. And then there was the tingling. First on her shoulders, later on her hips. An itch that couldn't be scratched. It didn't feel like it was on the surface. It felt underneath. Some nights she woke up with the eerie sensation that something was moving inside her. Not much, just a slight gliding motion, but enough to scare her. She went to her general practitioner. Blood tests, ultrasound, standard questions. Probably stress, they said. But Bronx was changing too. He ate less, had diarrhea, scratched himself obsessively, always in the same spots. Sometimes he looked at her, head tilted, as if trying to tell her something. Something he knew, but couldn't say. When she finally took him to the vet, the diagnosis was clear and blunt. Tapeworms, a rare parasite, transmittable to humans, especially through close physical contact. Julia was tested immediately. And the moment the doctor looked at her, that brief clinical glance over the rim of his glasses, she already knew. She wasn't just sick, she was inhabited. The diagnosis hit Julia like a punch to the gut. She had never imagined that love and closeness to her beloved dog could put her life in danger, but now there was no time for doubt or guilt. The veterinarian explained that an immediate dual treatment, for both human and animal, was the only chance. The medication was strong, the side effects harsh, But Julia didn't hesitate for a second. That very same day, she and Bronx began their treatment together. The following weeks turned into a battle for survival. Julia lay feverish in bed, her body fighting with its last strength against what had nested inside her. Bronx, who never left her side, received daily injections too, even though he had never shown clear symptoms. It was a silent bond between them, stronger than pain, stronger than fear. And that same bond, the one that had almost led to Julia's end, was now the one saving her. Slowly, her strength returned. Her thoughts grew clearer, her body lighter, her skin regained its color. When the final tests finally confirmed that the infection was completely defeated, Julia wept, not out of sadness, but out of pure relief. She sat up, called Bronx to her, and wrapped him tightly in her arms. He had almost killed her, but only because she had loved him so deeply. And now it was he who, in that silent embrace, made her feel truly alive again. From that day on, Bronx was once again allowed to sleep by her side. Not out of carelessness, but out of deep trust. And Julia knew the whole world had seen her story online. But only she knew how close life and death could lie when you sleep with the wrong one in your bed. Sometimes life and the love for an animal write the most moving stories. What Julia experienced shows us how important awareness, intuition, and trust truly are. What would you have done in her place? Would you have noticed something was wrong? Or would you have trusted your animal blindly? Write it now in the comments. If this story touched you, leave a like, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more real, incredible stories that go straight to the heart. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the truth lies right next to you while you sleep.